everybody, Jess Kleinschmidt here. This is Infinite Jess. Yes, Cut 4 gave me a show. What are you going to do? But we're hitting the ground running with this first show, and it's going to be about the incomparable Jenny Cavnar. And for those of you who don't know who Jenny is, I really suggest checking out a post that we did on Cut 4. She's the first female play-by-play analyst to do televised play-by-play broadcast in the major leagues since 1993, which was way before Cespedes Family Barbecue came around. So that was quite a ways ago, 25 years. And she's just an amazing human being. And I'm really lucky that I not only got to talk about her, but talk to her for this show. And I talked to some other really cool people. Thomas Harding will be joining us. He's here. He's not here. We call him. I'm going to give him a call here in a little bit. And he talks about her as well. He's one of the first individuals I reached out to. But I got to talk to Jenny this week, and I learned a lot about her. And the cool thing about her first broadcast was it was for the Rockies versus the Padres. And 12 years is how many years that she's given to Major League Baseball. And of those 12 years, the two teams she's worked for are the Padres and the Rockies. She's still with the Rockies now and killing it for Root Sports, and just an amazing human being. She joins this really cool, world where, there's Gail Gardner, who back in 1993 did a televised broadcast for the Reds and the Rockies. And there's Jessica Mendoza. She, of course, is doing color commentary for ESPN on Sunday Night Baseball. I wrote about Emma Tiedemann earlier in the season, and she's the first female play-by-play analyst for the South Atlantic League. Melanie Newman's doing some awesome stuff for the Frisco Rough Riders down in Texas, doing some play-by-play stuff. And, it's just really cool to talk about. Susan Waldman does play-by-play for the Yankees on the radio side every now and then. So I can keep talking about these women. Do you understand? There's a huge world out there, and we're embracing it all. And Jenny, grew up around the sport. Her dad's a huge inspiration for her, and she's a former athlete, former coach. And if you're a former athlete or a current athlete, you understand that being, the physical aspects are certainly there, and the mentality aspects are there, and you bring that all together, and the way that she studied the game was certainly unique. She just brings a really cool mentality to it. And then she also, of course, on her debut, got to do a Nolan Arenado home run just call, and it was really cool. She yelled "fire up the fountains," and we get to ask her about that later. So we're the first person we do get to talk to. I'm going to give Thomas Harding a call. He, of course, is the beat writer for the Rockies, good friend of mine, and so I'm going to get him on the phone, and you guys get to talk to him. So that's I get to talk to him. You guys don't. So here he is. Okay, so I just called Thomas Harding, and I'm excited because he's my friend, so I'm excited to talk to him now. But B, you were the first person I reached out to talk about Jenny Cavnar, who I'm talking about today. So over the last couple of weeks, what has it been like to be around Jenny? What's it been like to be around the Rockies right now?
Well, I'll tell you, with Jenny, she is so gracious about everything. I mean, she realizes that what she's doing is significant, not because it's her, but because there are other girls out there who may want to grow up to be sports broadcasters, and she's inspiring them because, and I'm sure she'll tell you about it, that's exactly what happened with her. When she was coming up, watching Melissa Stark on TV, or when I saw her get started, Alana Rizzo reached out to her and was very much a mentor, and she understands that she's inspiring other people and hopefully giving back to them.
Yeah, and it seems like you two hit it off pretty well. Every time I message you, you'll tell me, "Hey, Jenny's right here," and you guys seem to get along well, and that's always great. And you actually wrote about her a few years back when she was doing color commentary. This isn't like a brand new thing for her. She's obviously quite seasoned in it. And you wrote about just what it was like for her as a woman, as a female broadcaster, kind of moving up in the ranks. What was that like when she going from being color to full-blown play-by-play?
Well, let's go back to her sideline reporting and her being an analyst in the pre- and post-game show. She struck us all when she came in here as someone who knew what she was doing. She had gone elsewhere, gotten some experience, went to Colorado State University, and while that may not be known as a school that turns out a bunch of television people, a lot of times when you go to a place like that, you learn by doing. You get the opportunity, and that's what she did. And of course, her name was known in the area because her dad was a great high school baseball coach here, and she was an excellent athlete. My goodness, she coached college lacrosse at UCLA. I mean, we're talking about someone that knows the sport that she's covering and also knows athletes because she was one. And I think that's one of the things that people don't get sometimes. I mean, most broadcasters weren't great athletes. They weren't college athletes, weren't professional athletes, most of the, play-by-play type. But she really reached a high level as an athlete and was a very, and understands the thought process that goes into it. And I think that's one of the things that makes her special in this.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. Beyond the words phenomenal, have you heard the compliments she's been getting? Dallas Braden, obviously is really close with her. He says amazing things about her, and I haven't heard anybody say anything negative. Obviously the trolls are happening, but if you had one word to describe Jenny Cavnar, what would it be?
Gracious. I sat with her the other night, I think, when you and I communicated, and she was telling some of us, "My goodness, I'm trying to answer everything, and I'm flooded with it." And she was worried that she wasn't answering everybody's congratulations, everybody's well wishes. I mean, and that's the type of person we're dealing with here. Like I say, she understands what she means to other people, and she wants to make sure that she not only helps the younger people, but thanks the people that have either helped her or saying good things about her along the way.
Yeah, when I spoke to her, she basically said, "I'm trying to get through all the social media stuff," but I said, "Honey, it's gonna be a while before you get through all the congratulations and stuff." And it's nice to see the Rockies social media had her back and everything like that. Thomas, you're amazing, as you know. I think the world of you, and I'm excited that you're a part of
I think
this.
you're amazing. Hey, I'm glad to be a part of it. I've been waiting. I've been trying to be a part of this thing, and the other day we just couldn't connect. So I'm happy about this.
Technology is a weird thing and timing and everything like that, but you're amazing. And look, and he's at Wrigley right now, you guys. He's just
Yeah, look at this.
look
Hold
at
on.
that
Let me
beautiful
show. Let me
background.
show you the beautiful background.
That's
You
amazing.
see the ivy out there, even. I've had friends who said that one of their favorite experiences is just being in a ballpark after a game. Can
Oh
I
yeah.
show you more? Yeah, I mean, let me move to the window here. Isn't that beautiful? I
Yeah,
mean, you
this is
see,
how high maintenance I am, where I only hang out with people if they're at like a baseball field. Jenny's in Miami when I was talking to her, so that's the only way I'll talk to you is if you're at a professional baseball field.
at some point, let's do this when we're in San Francisco, because I don't know if you see the seagulls that are flying out there in left field, right?
Right.
San Francisco, I think that the seagulls are like 3 times the size. I mean, at some point, they're going to fly in and eat a second baseman. They're so big.
Yeah, probably. I would say like they wouldn't be able. I think second baseman is probably the easiest type of guys to eat. Maybe.
That's right.
So that was Thomas Harding. He's fabulous. We even got like a small little tour of Wrigley Field. So we got to literally kill a few birds with one stone because we did talk about those seagulls, those overweight seagulls that hang out in San Francisco. Maybe overweight isn't the right word. They like to eat a lot. Preach, preach, seagulls. So we got to talk to Thomas, and he mentioned the word gracious when you're describing Jenny Cavnar, and it's no different because when I spoke to her, she was saying she was overwhelmed with the amount of people saying congratulations, and it was over tweets, over text messages. But the best part was she was getting these congratulatory tweets by people in the industry who know what a good play-by-play analyst is, and they were just super complimentary about her. I of course did talk to Dallas Braden, who's not only of course a former pitcher, threw a perfect game, no big deal, but he grew up with Jenny, and Jenny's husband is his BFF. So he basically hangs out with her and talks about baseball. I think the husband just kind of hangs out, Mr. He just does whatever. I think it's wonderful because she embraces it, he embraces it, and it's great. So I said that I had Jenny Cavnar on here, and I'm going to give her a call, and she was gracious to answer some questions. I was going to ask her a few questions the next thing you know, like it was like a million years later, but what are you going to do? So here she is. Jenny, oh my gosh, you're here. I am so excited. I'm trying not to fangirl, but I will do the best I can. I don't know if you saw my post, but I wrote about you, and it was supposed to be this small little thing. Jenny Cavnar is gonna be doing play-by-play on telecast for the Rockies Padres game, and then it turned into this big thing, and it was one of my most read pieces, probably of my career. And so you really made an impact. And I know. Basically, I just want to know how this last week has been for you since that initial Rockies Padres game.
Crazy. It's been absolutely crazy. And I think, because I wasn't anticipating it, it's something that we've been building towards, we've been talking about for so long. So from the historical perspective, I understood it would get a little bit of attention, a little bit of headline, but just the amount of attention, the amount of emails and texts and phone calls and tweets and social media. I mean, I'm still going through social media because I don't want to. People have been so kind with their time and generous to reach out, and I'm really just humbled by the reception that it's gotten.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you mentioned that it's been a long time coming, and then I believe it was the day after your the actual broadcast itself. The broadcast asked you some questions. You got a little emotional on air, thanking everybody for the success and stuff, which I thought was a wonderful moment. So, how important is it to know you have all those people that have your back?
And I felt so many people on my team for so long. I mean, starting just with my parents and growing up in the game of baseball with my dad being a coach, and just their encouragement along the way. I don't even think my dad, I think that's when I got emotional. I don't think my dad realizes the pathway he gave for me. I mean, I think as a lot of parents, you want to do good, you want to teach your kids great, how to be great, how to succeed, but I don't think he even realized that he was one of the most, one of my biggest encouragers or one of my biggest fans growing up. So that was super important. And then, my husband's been amazing and my immediate family and stuff. But I think for me, hearing from people in baseball was so cool, hearing from managers and players and front office people, from broadcasters that I respect. But to hear from my friends who have little girls and to get video messages, I realized the impact that the conversation is now bringing up, which is really, really special.
Yeah, you mentioned, growing up with your dad and everything like that. Obviously, your husband played baseball with, of course, Dallas Braden. What was a major turning point in your career that you realized, hey, I really want to do this?
We didn't grow up with regional television. I mean, that was kind of a new thing once I got to college. So, me growing up was sitting on the couch watching Monday Night Football with my dad and seeing Melissa Stark for the first time come on.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was at the time, and this is probably like 1999. And it was someone that looked like me, someone that sounded like me, and was talking sports. Like I enjoyed talking sports, and that's when I said I want to be a sideline reporter because that's what she was. That was all I really saw in the game, and it wasn't until I started working in the business, meeting more people, got a job in baseball. It was my first year with the San Diego Padres in 2007, and I was hired to be the reporter for the pregame show. And about a month in, I was sitting looking around and realizing I was meant to do this, like to work in baseball. I had no idea these jobs were even possible. So again, I think just for little girls to see a face and be able to dream a big dream is the most important thing that's come out of Monday.
That's awesome. And you mentioned little girls. So, do you feel any pressure or any sort of intimidation knowing you have these young girls that are kind of looking up to you?
Because I feel like no matter what we do in life, I mean, I've always been taught to be a good person, to be a role model, to be authentic and be my true self. And I hope by being that, whether my job is in television or elsewhere, I hope that I can be a role model for little girls. And now that I have a son of my own, even for little boys, I mean, to teach my son the respect of growing up in a world where everyone gets an equal opportunity based on their work ethic and not based on their gender or based on their ethnicity. I think that's such a huge lesson to learn even still in 2018. So I feel, again, being a parent, the responsibility feels a little bit different this year.
Yeah, so there's something that I struggled with at the beginning of my career, and you mentioned, being yourself, and social media kind of warps us to think we have to be the next so and so. So, how difficult is it to? I mean, it's difficult, but it's simple. But how do you think? How important is it to just be yourself in a world where you're kind of not wanting to be, if that makes sense?
You're right. I think anytime you choose a profession that's whether you're on TV or you're on radio, you're also an entertainer. So you're creating a persona in a way for how you do your job. And some people that you meet in this business are very different off camera or off the mic than on camera. And I feel, again, just with my upbringing, I was just always taught to be who I am. And that was just use my confidence to kind of create my situation and my environment for myself. And so I feel like that's what I've tried to do in my job. And I hope I'm as authentic and genuine on television as I feel like I am in real life. And you're right, it's a hard balance when social media came along. I didn't grow up in my career with social media. That came halfway through. So, this next wave of reporters, they ask about it a lot. We have a new reporter who I know is dealing with the social media landscape a lot more, just because that's that generation.
Right.
And I don't envy that. I mean, I really have never.
It's awful.
It is hard. I get it. People look at likes, you look at followers, you look at comments, and it's just, it really, to me, is not a good representation of who I want to be in TV. So I try to ignore that social media side. Yet at the same time, I know it's important in the world we live in, and I want to engage in it and try and be real in it. But it's a tough balance to do. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, well, the confidence definitely comes off. So much so that I want to talk about this fire up the fountains.
Worked a 2-1 count. And that ball is shot into left field. Fire up the fountains. She's gone.
I love it. I love it. Fire up the fountains.
There they come.
This my night was made. I was obviously watching you, but to hear everybody in the broadcast booth's reaction, and you were so excited. It was a Nolan Arenado bomb, which, hello, you're the first thing that you get to call. That's wonderful. Were you holding on to that? Did you add it to your repertoire? Like, where did this come from?
I totally added it. I mean, I think as broadcasters, a signature of a play-by-play person is to have a home run call in baseball. And we joke all the time, all of us that are not Drew Goodman in the broadcast, about what would our call be. We spent plenty of hours upon hours the last several years joking about them. I've never had one that has stuck. So on Sunday morning, I found out I was calling the game the next Monday, and I was like, it is go time. And during the game that day, Charlie Blackmon hit a home run, and I tweeted something about the fountains, which is the signature at Coors Field. They rise up in center field when a home run happens for the home team. So I looked at Corey Sullivan, my analyst for the post-game show, and I said, I think I have my home run call. And he's like, Jenny, I need to hear it because I don't want you to embarrass yourself. Feel that moment was. And so I kind of tried to deliver it to him, and he gave me a look that was like, nah, I don't know. So we started kind of just going back and forth on it, and Fire Up the Fountains came out of that. And then it was kind of, as soon as that ball went off Nolan's bat, Spilly said, I'm so glad you knew right away it was a no-doubter. Totally did not know it was a no-doubter. It was like a low-line drive, and I was so nervous, like I couldn't throw out Fire Up the Fountains if the ball's not going to get out. So it almost felt like I was a batter when Major League hitters talk about you have 0.4 of a second to decide on a pitch if you're going to swing or not. And I felt like I had 0.4 of a second to decide, am I going to just crush this home run call, go for it, and just not even care? Or am I going to hold back on it? And finally, I was like, just let loose. Go for it.
The reactions are amazing. The broadcast was good. You could hear everybody on Twitter loved it. So it definitely was good. So I'm going to embarrass you and kind of make you a little uncomfortable for a second. I talked to Dallas Braden the moment that I knew that you were going to do this, the play-by-play. And I couldn't put every single one of his quotes in the post because it would just it would be a 1,000 word post. So he said, and I quote, she's the person for the job, and when people walk away from watching you, they're going to be thinking, wow, she knows her stuff. So on top of just complimenting you as a person, he, was very complimenting just towards your personality and your characteristics. And it was a redundant statements throughout the baseball world. So when you hear stuff like that, not just from girls, and you did mention, young girls, but you did mention stuff in the baseball broadcast, but knowing that like one of your, longtime friends who's a former player turned analyst to get compliments like that, what's that like?
It means so much. I mean, I think the compliments are so nice, but what means the most to me, and this is for Dallas as much as it is for Ryan Spielbergs and Corey Sullivan and Jeff Houston that I work with, they've never encouraged me as a female. They've always encouraged me as a broadcaster that knows the game. And I feel like that's what I've tried to do my whole career. I feel like I've tried to come in and be knowledgeable and make sure my personality shows. And when this opportunity came up, a lot of them reminded me, just be yourself. That's what you have to be. You can't imitate someone else in this because it wouldn't be authentic. It wouldn't be you. So for Dallas to say those things, it does mean a lot. And man, do we talk some baseball when we all hang out, which is a lot of fun. And I think I've always kind of grew up feeling like one of the guys, with my dad being a coach, growing up with brothers and male cousins. But to get into the NBA or get into the MLB circles and feel like you have a very small part of that fraternity and being able to just communicate with those former players and they have that respect for you, that really does mean a great deal.
Yeah, and Dallas himself even said it's almost unfortunate you have to preface the fact, well, she's a female, and you don't want to be good for a female. It's like you don't walk up to your mom saying you look good for your age. Like, you don't do that, you know? Like, you can't.
Really?
Yeah, so it's no, just if you're good, you're good, and he kept reiterating that, and that was warm-hearted to hear. And I just wanted to say, like, I don't have many idols, I don't look up to that many people, but you certainly have done it for me, and it just really have made it easier. I know these women can't hold my hand throughout the process of the sports media world, but to know that you have people you can reach out to has just been phenomenal, because sometimes it just it sucks, it really does, and that's a lot with social media and the trolls and dealing with all the crap that brings. But knowing there's other people kind of going out with it throughout with you is kind of like, okay, when I fall there, it's going to be a little bit less hard of a landing and you're going to be okay. So I'm truly thankful for that. And I know that a lot of women think that you're the best and you're great at what you do. And it's not just as a woman in the industry, you're amazing. And I can't wait to see what you do in the future.
Oh man, thank you so much. I really you're crushing it, lady. So keep doing.
Thank you very much. I'm certainly trying. All right. That's all I have for you. And I will make sure that everybody watches this, and you've been phenomenal. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your time. And so that was Jenny. She's awesome, right? Told you. Why would I lie to you guys? She's great. So we got a little bit of her history, her background, and she's just a wonderful human being. And she was gracious enough to answer our question. I know I keep using that word, but I love that word now. Thomas Harding introduced that word into my vocab repertoire, and now I'm going to keep using that, especially when you see somebody that's as awesome as Cavnar. And I can't wait to see what she does with her career. She's just moved up in the ranks. She's a former color commentary woman and did reporting, and now she's doing stuff that she's always wanted to do. And that's a difficult thing, not just in the world, but obviously for a woman in the sports media world. So she's dominating it. Thank you guys for tuning into my first show. Did you guys have fun? I know you did. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time on Infinite Jess.